All right, welcome back. We are back, partially, kind of. Me, Ed and I are here, which is what is important. Yes, the Disney movie review is back. Back and better than ever. Back and better than ever. Back on the audio podcasting side of things, but also back on the video side of things, which is why there was no intro music or anything like that, because the intro music doesn't work exactly the same when you have it here. But we're still here covering your favorite Disney movies, reviews of the favorite Disney movies, reviews and properties from all your Disney properties: Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Disney Plus, Fox, all that stuff. Joined, of course, by my good friend Mr. Ed Buzzkirk.
Thank you for having me, sir. It's been so long.
I know it has been a long, long time. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that. A
Well,
lot of
and what
reasons that it.
yeah
Say what?
what no one knows off screen is that we've still been texting about 5 times a day, every day since the podcast went off the air. So
Yeah, I mean it's like it never left at all. And it looks like Kristen's joining. This is exactly how kind of it's been, really. Like Ed
now
and
all we
Kristen.
need
There's
is Cameron in the
Kristen.
car.
Right. I'm trying to get this. I need to figure out how to get on here off of my computer instead of off of my phone. And I didn't remember to think about that until like right now. And then I panicked and I just got on my phone. Because, yeah, it's easier for me to be on the computer because it lines up correctly with my like little special background and whatnot here, whereas my phone does not. It's not high enough, so I'm trying to find stuff to like stack to put the phone on top of to make the phone taller.
These are the problems that you get when you have video that you don't like. We never had to deal with this when we didn't have video. Like
Right?
my wife, I had on a shirt. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go record." My wife was like, "Are you wearing that? Like, is that what you're?"
That's literally like how I feel right now. Like on the very rare day that I'm not wearing makeup. I mean, like
This is excellent.
people do not see me without makeup generally. I
Oh
also
my
haven't
lord.
eaten at all today, so I literally ran downstairs to try to get food. And then I'm like, but then you're on camera. Nobody wants to see you eating. So I'm just going to keep going like off and on. It's drama.
This is amazing. This is excellent. This is excellent. Yeah, this is phenomenal. So Kristen, Mrs. Kristen DiBiase is here as well. Cameron,
Hello,
of
hello.
course, is running behind on in the car, I'm sure, but he'll be joining as soon as he can. But okay, so we've been gone for a while, but we've been talking about potentially getting back. When we came back, I knew I wanted to do video. I knew I wanted it to be a part of what we did. And I think this is just a really good time for us to get into a video, since the pandemic. Video recording has just gone on a tear. The technology has just, really improved. And so we're just going to try something new, see if it works. If you like it, let us know. Send, put a comment there or whatnot. And
If we don't like it,
and
we don't care.
we, we may not care if you like it or not. We're still going to do it. Okay, but wanted to get everybody together because there were a couple of things that happened to me this week, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. One of the cool things about video is that I can share my screen and take you through what the week was like for me. So let's share this screen. And I wake up, and I think it's like Tuesday, and I scroll to my computer, and I see this headline. Oh, is Disney for sale? And I'm like, okay, well, what's going on here? It's good, just go past this 3M thing, and I see this thing that says here that Needham said Tuesday believes Disney will be acquired during the next 3 years. Okay, one of the things they tweeted, and this is the important part, is that Disney owns the best assets in the media business. They have no controlling shareholder to block a takeover, and no permanent CEO or CFO that has, a conflicting agenda or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe that is Bob's end game. Maybe Bob wants to, within the next 3 years, sell off Disney. And then I wake up the next day and I see that Bob has indeed extended his contract. For the next 2 years, we're gonna be having Bob as CEO for the next 3 years, from 2023 all the way through 2026. Bob Iger is going to be the CEO of the Disney company, and the shares rose 30 cents off of that news. And then the next day had another thing where Bob Iger said, Disney might be getting out of the TV game because there are certain things that may not be, quote unquote, core to Disney. No, I will not subscribe to this. The fortune is asking me to subscribe, and I will not. But Disney, Bob said they'd be open to maybe dumping the assets, selling ABC, selling some of these other holdings. These are the kind of things that companies do before they get acquired. They really make the business very lean, and then they get acquired. And then the final thing that made me think about Mr. Iger was Bob Iger saying that the actors and the writers were not being realistic during their contract demands. So if you don't know, the Screen Actors Writers Guild, they're all striking right now due to the revenues that are coming in from streaming. Basically, writers, actors, not paid the same for streaming content as they are for, let's say, your television content or your major movies, and that's creating quite a bit of a thing. Iger said, it's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces on this business and all the challenges that we're facing and the recovery from COVID, which is ongoing. It's not completely back. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption, which to me, and I would never do this because I'm a good father, but to me, it's like your dad getting upset at you for being hungry because it's dinner time. Like, why in the world would you be hungry right now? It's dinner time. How dare you do that? So all of these things I'm seeing in my mind, and it's gotten me to this point where I just have this major question that I would love for us to really dive into. And Ed, I'm going to go to you first because you have the best shirt on, and that's how we're going to do things. I want to know, give me your thoughts, Ed. Do you think, and I'll hear me out here, this does come from a different universe, but someone once said, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Do you think Bob Iger is becoming a Disney villain?
I not only think he's becoming a Disney villain, I think I know which Disney villain he is. So, and I'm sorry, Bob, we know that you listen, but sorry, dude, I just got to call him like I see him.
I need more. I need to know what Disney villain he is. I need more.
Which villain?
I think he's Hans from Frozen, because he came in, he danced with us, he sang to us, he held our hands, and guess what he's doing now? He's trying to take away the kingdom.
I love that so much.
On tracks.
Okay. I was going a different route. Actually, I want to hear, Kristen, what do you think? Do you think Disney villain for Bob Iger
here? Okay, so I feel bad because I try to give people a shout out if I can, when I can remember to do it. Somebody had a YouTube commentary where they were saying, so can Disney not even have actual villains in their movies anymore? Like, the villain is just family strife or a stressed out grandma. And I was like, interesting, but true. So whoever that person is, I'll try to find out who it was and give them their just due. But that's kind of how I'm feeling right now about Bob Iger. He is kind of the antagonist in our film right now, but I don't know if he's actually a villain. He's just at a cross purposes, and some of the the things that he's been really good at are just not necessarily working in the situation that he is currently in. There's a phrase that I have heard used a bunch of times, and it's not from a movie, but it's strengths overused become weaknesses. Um, and I think that that is kind of where things are for him right now. Like, he's a workaholic guy who can't leave well enough alone. So he came back. I mean, that's the thing you never do. When Michael Jordan retired from the Bulls and then he went to go play baseball, we were like, you know what I mean? Like, there are people who love it so much they don't know how to say goodbye and make it stick. And I feel like that was one thing. We all know the whole thing that went down when Chepek was, that was not a non sequitur and that was not a mistake. when, when he was running things, and I was just like, like, you're killing everything. I have to come back. This is horrible. And the things you heard about behind the scenes where he couldn't stop talking about work, and he's the guy that retired. And so now he's come back. But that's kind of like what happens. Like, you're supposed to leave on that high note and then just let it ride. And he didn't do that. And some of the strategies and the things that he was doing before seemed like great ideas at the time, but now they're starting to bear the additional fruit, not all of which is positive. So I don't think he's necessarily a villain. I think he's a stressed out grandma.
See,
He's abuela.
He's abuela. I am going straight for I'm going straight for the thug jugular. I'm going to say Thanos. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that Bob Iger is Thanos. Why? Because you put it correctly, Kristen. You were like, he can't. He's the only person that can do it. The strongest choices require the strongest wills, right? The most difficult thing. He's gathered all of his Infinity Stones, his Marvel, his Fox, he's been the one that's bringing it all into the fold and making it hit Disney Plus. That's his brainchild and all of these things. And so he's doing it. And then at the end of it, what does he want to do? He wants to make it all disappear just with snap. Wants Disney to be gone and others, because he's created a system where only he is the one that can be successful in it. I'm not sure there's others. Like, even when we were talking, we did a little test episode, which I just deleted, so if you didn't see it, sorry. But but when we were talking in the test episode, we were saying that there's like, who are you going to get as a successor? You're saying that you're going to give him 2 more years. He has been trying to do it for 8 years to find a successor, someone who could do the same thing that he could do with it, and there wasn't anyone. And by the way, a quick aside on Chepek, just because this was another thing that I saw that made me, and I, we can share screens now, so I'm going to do it. If, in case you're wondering what's going on in the world of Mr. Bob Chapek right now, he has been sued, or at least named in a lawsuit, for fraudulent streaming statements saying that Disney Plus was doing better than it really was. And so this group of shareholders has filed a suit against Mr. Chapek, as well as a couple of other senior Disney team members, including the former Disney executive Kareem Daniel, CFO Christine McCarthy. I don't think she's still there, right? She's gone.
Right, she's on permanent medical leave.
Yeah, I think Christine's gone. But so there's a class action lawsuit. Probably not going to go anywhere, or at least not see the court. But as we're talking about Disney villains, it seemed kind of apropos to bring up that news. So
Man.
Anyway. But that's, we're all landing squarely on villain. Are we sure with our choice?
I think you make a great case for Thanos. So I'll even back off the Hans reference. I think that Thanos is a pretty good image there for our good friend Bob, who we know is listening.
It's
Yeah.
it does fit. It takes me a minute to warm up to and try on that concept because we've been calling Chepek Thanos for so long.
And I mean, I guess that does go to Ed's Hans thing, right? Like, we have put a lot in. I think there was. Okay, so Google sends me little memories and things like that. And one of the memories I have is that 6 years ago today, I was in California for D23, and I was looking at Galaxy's Edge and taking pictures and video and all that stuff. And oh my gosh, look at this Galaxy's Edge. Oddly enough, we were doing the show back then, so we talked about it and all these different things, and it was like so much promise. There was so much promise. There was so much that was good, and I don't think anything has necessarily. Well, no, that's not true. I was going to say nothing has really changed since that time, but I think it has. I think a lot has changed. Mainly, a lot of being, especially if you want to talk about the parks, right? Like the ticket prices have completely changed. If you want to talk about Disney Plus, I think Artemis Fowl was one of the first things to come out on Disney Plus, and it was like, we're not going to release this in the movie theater. It's going to go straight to Disney Plus. Check it out, all that stuff. Disney took Artemis Fowl off of Disney Plus. So now that Artemis Fowl is off of Disney Plus, we have this whole thing. Oh, well, look who decided to join us.
Yes.
There he is. There he is. There's Cameron. Welcome
Yes.
to the show, Cameron. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you.
I was going to do a Cam in the car thing,
And
but
had it.
yeah, it wasn't going to work too well because it's nighttime. And
Yeah.
so if I did that, then it just want to be good. I'm actually going to have to hop off and hop on into another one of my devices because it's telling me I need to get off. So I'll be back. I'll be back.
You're always reliable, Cameron. Thanks. Appreciate that. Good. Love that reliability. You're about as reliable as Disney Plus is.
Oh.
No, but so
Why does it feel like we never stopped the show?
Because we haven't.
because we
We just weren't recording anything.
right. Honestly, it's just
Exactly.
whether or not other people can hear us or not. That's the difference. That's the only difference. No, but right, like this whole thing with you take me back to 2017, back when I was at Disney Plus or D23, all this stuff. Like, I never would have thought that like Disney would release a movie that they've spent money promoting, they paid actors for, they paid writers for, they paid all this stuff for, and the only place you could get it is Disney Plus, and then they just take it off, and now you can't get it anymore. And I'm still paying my Disney Plus subscription, and Disney's still getting certain amounts of revenue, but the people who created that, the people who acted in that, are their residuals the same? Do they make the same amount of money? Those are the questions that they're dealing with right now, and Bob Iger's literally saying, let's not talk about that right now. Like, I don't know.
I mean, the things that the writers and now in solidarity the actors are on strike for are huge. I mean, this is literally the way that media is made forever. That is what this is coming down to. And it has already been just a general downward slope over the last several years since streaming became a thing. They are taking things that used to be a given that people could at least try to make a living off of, and they've just whittled away at all of that. And it's not a secure way to make a living anymore. I mean, I've watched a ton of stuff and read a ton of stuff about the strike and what the writers are asking for. And I think that what they're asking for actually is reasonable. If you care at all about people having the ability to have a life, there's certain kinds of writing that in and of themselves within entertainment are riskier. But that's why then, I mean, you see people that have the privilege of being some rich person's offspring. Those are the people who do that kind of writing because they actually don't have to support themselves by doing that work. Everybody else is scraping by and being waiters half the time. And that's why I feel like the actors absolutely understand and have decided to strike in solidarity because they know that kind of life. Like, you don't know when your next job is coming through. And some of these writers have said, when you used to be on a sitcom, like, that's consistent money for a period of time that is many, many weeks. Like, you can plan around that. But now a season is not 22 episodes of anything anymore. If you're lucky, it's 10. If you're not, it's 6, or it's like a 5-episode limited run, whatever, that might not even come back ever again. And they're trying to pay people the same for it and pay them the same way for it as well. I mean, the stuff that I've heard writers kind of explaining to us regular people who don't work in the industry about rewrites and things like that they're trying to lump in, and you're still going to just get paid for like that one thing. With TV shows in particular, they're constantly doing rewrites, literally while they're filming episodes of things. It's just constantly being changed. They'll keep punching stuff up after they've already filmed that scene, and they're like, man, we thought of this, like, do you like this better? And they'll come in and reshoot it. I mean, the kind of work that these people are putting in and not getting paid for, that's atrocious. It really is gross. And they are the ones who are actually making these vehicles what they are. Prestige TV isn't because of producers. Producers can't write. I mean, actors, there are some actors who can create and are really gifted in that way. But there's other people that are really good at taking the words that somebody else put and breathing life into those. But that's the writers. Without the writers, we have nothing. And AI is trash.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
At its best, all it is a very sophisticated mimicry of something that somebody else already created. That's coming out of some real person's brain first. So AI is only as good as what already existed before it to leech off of. And what are they leeching off of? Writers.
Right.
Yeah, so I am completely not with you on this one, Bob. What they're asking for is the ability to do the stuff that all of us appreciate, who are the viewers, and they should be allowed to be able to make a living off of that, the same way we're all trying to make a living off of the stuff that we do every day.
Right. And it's not just the fact that TV seasons maybe now 10 episodes or 5 episodes or limited series. The studios, with the control that they have over these final products, when, like, Disney decides, or Disney Plus decides to remove something from the service, it may not be available anywhere else at all.
Yep.
And so those actors and those directors and all the people that put in all that hard work, it just vanishes off the face of the planet. It's sitting on a hard drive somewhere, and no one has access to it.
Well, and that
bothers me more than anything.
Yeah, there's gosh, Better Nate Than Never was a cute show that I enjoyed with my girls, and now that's gone. And then there was this show that I read about, Craters, less than 2 months.
Yes.
less than
Disney
2
put
months
so
of being on
much into
Disney Plus,
creators.
and they pulled it. So
I don't
like
even know this show.
exactly, it was a movie, and it's like, I mean, you're never going
I
to
didn't
keep
even
up
get a
with
chance to watch it. I was like, oh
exactly,
yeah, like I'm gonna check that out sometime when life slows down. Blah blah blah.
exactly. And so when you're not giving the consumers the opportunity to view things, and you're taking it away, like something has to change. And I think
So,
it, there's so it's not just it's yes, it is big salaries to CEOs and stuff like that, but it's also just the putting the shareholder above everything else. And you're like, I totally understand that you're trying to make a profit for these people that invested, but it's not even about like, oh, we're trying to turn a profit. It's like, well, our thing last year was this, so we have to make even more than that. And I'm like, at what expense? Like,
Okay, so I look, okay, Bob, from one Disney villain to another. Um, it is so so easy to like look at someone else's thing and say like, oh well, that they're just trying to make profit for shareholders. They're just trying to make profit for shareholders. I completely get that, and I'm not trying to argue against it. What I am saying though is that I think I think it's a little bit more complex than just like, hey, like this. We just want to make as much money as can. We just want to make as much money as we can. I'm not saying that there is not greed at hand. I do 1,000% think that there is a certain amount and a certain level of greed that happens. But okay, so all right, take the Netflix thing. We talked about this last time. Okay, so my thing with Netflix, and I have my bone to pick with Netflix and their new, like, you must reside in a specific house, right? So Netflix would say that their policy of you must reside in this specific house allows for them to pay people at a certain rate. So they would say like, hey, we're going to pay people because this is our new policy. You have to reside in this house. If you don't reside in this house, you don't get Netflix, no password sharing, blah, 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 blah. We're going to allow them to do that. Like, now, if Disney were to take that tact and say, okay, fine, we're going to do everything the writers and actors want, and to make that happen, we're going to eliminate all password sharing and all of that stuff, I'd be kind of upset. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I would be upset, even though I don't share my Disney password with anybody.
But
I would just literally be upset because of the principle of the matter. Because the thing is, for me with Netflix, the thing that is missing when you talk about all of this stuff about streaming and all of that stuff is the shared experience. And the reason that these shows and these movies and all of this stuff, the reason that these become popular on these streaming platforms is because they can be shared. If you do not have an experience that can be shared, then all you have is just content. And 9 times out of 10, content just in and of itself is not enough to make something successful.
But
Cameron, you know this coming off of your Elemental thing, right?
But
just because Elemental's a good movie doesn't mean that everybody's going out to see it, right? So I think there's a lot of complex things that are going on here. Yeah, like I understand. I 1,000% get that there's greed, and I do agree with you, and I 100% get it. But I don't just want to boil it down to that, because I think if we boil it down to that, we lose some of those dynamics of what does it take for a streaming platform to be profitable? What does it take for the customer to have a good experience? Blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Okay, now I'll let you talk.
Okay, I understand all of that. I really, truly do. But you have to understand that in the age that we're in, there are probably more kids watching Mr. Beast than there are watching whatever, like, movie or something than Teenage Kraken, right? So if you think that, hey,
I'm going to be able
for
to.
the old people in the world, who's Mr. Beast?
Oh, Mr. Beast is oh gosh, Jimmy. I don't know.
He's a YouTuber.
He's a
Thank
YouTuber.
you, Kristen. Thank you,
Well, I
Kristen,
was
for
trying
like
to
the
get his-
easy answer. Mr. Beast is a YouTuber. How hard is that? Like,
I was trying to get his act. James
Mr.
Donaldson.
Beast is a YouTuber. He's a YouTuber.
He's
okay?
a YouTuber who does a
Okay.
lot of stuff. But so many kids spend their time getting entertainment from YouTube that if these producers and stuff aren't careful, like they're not going to have anywhere else to go to make their money. Because what if these actors and stuff say, well, why do we need these production houses? Like, let's just do the thing ourselves and we can make this and put it on YouTube and get the things, and we have the face recognition and the name recognition, and we can make the money instead of these studios making the money. And with stuff going through, like with the stuff that they did with Mandalorian, the way that they made the escapes with the whole LED thing, and that was so much cheaper than like, oh, we'll put it in post. Like, forget post. We're doing it now, right here. We're creating these worlds. And because they're able to do that, like, I'm telling you, if those producers are not careful, like, I could see it eventually where, all right, we're going to have our own streaming thing, because it's already on YouTube, where you can be like a premium subscriber for someone. And so if someone was like, hey, this is a part of my premium subscription, I did this thing and I fronted the bill for it, and then they could sell ad spots on it and they could do all this stuff. Like,
I understand what you're saying. I've been talking a lot, so I'm not going to say it. But you missed since you were late, you did miss our introduction. So I will give you the chance to say, do you believe that? Do you think Bob Iger is a Disney villain?
Disney
and
villain.
If so, which one?
Do I believe that Bob Iger is a Disney villain? I think if Bob Iger is a Disney villain, he is Lotso. Like, if Bob Iger is a Disney villain, he is one who is beloved by many, but like in the end, like he's really not. Like, I mean, let's think about this. Like, everyone's like, oh, I can't stand Chapek. I can't stand Chapek. I can't stand him. Bob comes back. Yay, Bob. Bob says, hey, guys, it's great to be back. But like 7,000 of y'all, you gotta go. You gotta go. I know, but I love you. I love you. But 7,000 of y'all, thank you. Thank you for your time, your service. But see you later. See you later.
That was just one of those leftover things that he couldn't do anything about. That was one of the leftover ones.
But it's one of those things, like, again, because I made sure to watch clips of him on CNBC, because the guy was asking him about the price of Disney parks. And at first, when he first came back, he was like, oh, yeah, that's something that we need to look into. And now he's like, oh, yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, he's
Sir.
looked into it now.
Yeah.
He's already.
Oh, that's how much we're making? Oh, yeah.
He's looked into it. He's looked into his wallet. He knows exactly how much.
Exactly. So and I kind of do like this thing whenever I'm on TikTok and I see a live stream of someone who's a Disney creator or whatever. Like, oh, what do you think about them, extending his contract by 2 years? They're like, oh yeah, it's great. And I'm like, oh yeah, see? So I'm not saying he's a villain, but if he is a villain, he's Lotso. Because everyone loved Lotso until they didn't.
I understand. I get what you're saying. Lotso is a good one. I'm going to. Now I think Bob's must smell like strawberries.
Right?
Great.
I'm impressed. I think everyone had a good answer for that. So, Cameron, you didn't get to hear. But let's go in order again. What did you say, Ed?
Yeah, Ed,
Well,
what'd you say?
yeah, I just said that he was Hans because he came in the very beginning. He danced with us. He made us feel good about ourselves, and then he sold the kingdom out from under us.
Yes. Yes.
I said I gave a shout out to a person who I still have to figure out who they are, who did a Disney essay on YouTube and pointed out, like, does Disney just not have real villains anymore? The villain is family strife or somebody's stressed out grandma. And so I was like, yeah, but that fits. And that's what's going on here. Like, he's not actually a villain, but he is an antagonist. And so, yeah, he's a stressed out grandma. He's abuela.
I went all in. I said he is Thanos. I think that he has created something that only he can handle. We cannot find another successor. Hardest choices demand the strongest wills. He has gathered all of his Infinity Stones, his Marvels, his Disney Pluses, his, everyone. And then now.
So now we're waiting for Iron Man.
Well, no, his contract is through the end of 3 years. And they're going to sell the company, and it's just. By the way, this is paint on my hands because I was painting. We're getting cats. Lots of long story, but anyways.
You're getting them.
I thought you were like
Yes, we are getting
going
cats.
all in on your Infinity Stone.
Going all in. Yeah, these are my Infinity Stones on my hand. Yeah, no, this is paint on my hand, but yeah, like we're going to end up with a sold Disney. I cannot see us getting to 2026 with the same Disney that we have now. I cannot see us getting to 2026 with the same Disney that has existed during any of our lifetimes.
So what gets sold off?
Well, definitely the TV starts. Like the TV, that much. ESPN has been a problem since, heck, we were doing this like 2015, 2014. They started to see ESPN as a problem. It stopped being the cash cow that it once was, and then people started ditching cable.
I mean, it's still making live sports is still profitable.
Yeah, so I saw something, I think maybe today, I can't remember, or it might have been on my flight yesterday when I was reading. Iger was talking about ESPN again, and it did sound like he is interested in getting rid of ESPN. But they are still bullish on sports.
I mean,
they have to be. They have a whole complex down there.
But I think the interesting part of it is, like, even if, like, they see what the trend is, because again, all of these analysts and all of these things that they were paying, and who was probably the most popular sports person? Pat McAfee. And so they're like, oh, well, if Pat McAfee is the most popular person, then we need to get Pat McAfee in. And Pat McAfee he's not an idiot. He's not by any stretch of the imagination, but he's just very simple. Like, he's like, I don't need lawyers. This is just me. So anything that you do is it's going to be me, and this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to get. And if it's not that, then I'm not doing it. And so his whole thing has been streaming on YouTube. Like, he has streamed his entire sports show on YouTube for years and been invited on College Game Day and different stuff like that. And so he's like, well, if I'm going to do this, yeah, sure, y'all can have our show, but I'm still streaming on YouTube. And so now it's going to be on the ESPN YouTube. Like, and it's things like that where the way that we consume entertainment is changing. And if those people that are in power right now cannot see that change and pivot, they're going to be saying, but that's not how it was done.
Well, there's no pivot because it's not nearly as profitable. There's no pivot because it's not nearly as profitable.
For them.
Right.
Right. Yes.
But that's the problem.
The creators are,
Exactly. There are creators that are making money without, like, why do I need a studio? Why do I need this? Like, I can just get this done on myself and get this, and the money comes directly to me. And I think the sooner that, because there's been a little bit of crossover between like YouTube creators and going into acting and stuff like that. But I think if those traditional actors start to see the what they can
cliche there.
gain.
If you bring this in house and you can do this yourself, you can
Yes.
pay your own people and you can pay them a good wage,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do your own thing. And
I
that
don't know.
for sure. I mean, when
Go ahead.
Ken's like, I
Go
don't
ahead. No, I'll
know.
let you go.
When you look at people who have made it big, on alternative media, which I can't even call alternative anymore. Literally, I watch YouTube all the time. That is how I turn my brain off. I am subscribed to so many channels. I have to watch everything in 2x speed because I don't have the time to get through the stuff that's on my list. It is crazy. I mean, literally, like my husband, you know how you get the bleed over, right? Like he gets stuff he does not want to see, and he's suggested just because he lives with me. And I'm like, ew, what is this? Like, I don't care about aliens. I know that's something he was watching, but yeah,
Get
when
off
you look
my
at the
account.
people, yes, when people don't watch something you're not supposed
with
to be
my
watching
algorithm,
on my
okay?
yes, don't mess with my algorithm. Yeah, the bleed over is enough as it is, just because of like proximity. No, but when you look at the people who were like big on like TikTok and how they crossed over, notice how their projects on mainstream media were not that successful because that's not what people want. That's not how people watch. That's not the speed of what people are looking for. I mean,
I
you
think
are hard pressed to get somebody whose content, who an episode hits an hour. And there's some people that'll go to like an hour and 15 minutes tops. That's too long. There are stuff where I'm like, I have to watch this on double speed because I can't just sit and watch this for an hour and 15 minutes. That's too long.
now we're at 40 minutes. So I'm. Thanks,
I'm
Kristen.
gonna watch
That's
us
appreciative.
on double speed
appreciate
when I
speed.
watch this back. Let's be real.
This is- Come on, let's keep it going. Come on. Okay, so in order to keep Kristen's double speed moving, I do have a question of, and kind of maybe Cameron, it goes back to you, what you were saying about like what happens or where do things go or whatnot, because what is I'm curious to know a realistic thing, and by realistic I don't mean like, hey, like we're so I'm getting ahead of myself. What is a realistic thing that Bob could do to be less of a villain in your mind? Because the reason I say realistic is because it's going to be so easy to be like, oh, give the writers everything they want, or give the right like. I don't want us to get to this place as if like greed doesn't exist, as if shareholders don't want their money, as if like I don't want to do that. But like I'd rather like, for me, one of the things I cannot understand is why they will not bring back the half-day ticket at Disney World. Like the half-day ticket, I imagine, earns them so much more money than a full-day ticket does.
They can't bring it back because it's not worth it. What can you do in half a day at Disney now? Nothing.
Exactly. Exactly.
You get two lightning lanes
But
in
that's
a
the
day?
thing.
In
But
a
that's
whole
the
day? You can
thing.
speed up on
You
Genie
can't-
Plus. You get like
you can't-
3 rides. Half a day.
I got
That's
to walk
like
to Adventureland.
Look,
you can get you get a corn dog and you stand in line and well, you're done. Get out of here.
look, okay? With the half-day ticket, you can, if you have kids, spend a full day in the park without dragging them wild. You can start the day at noon, go all the way to the end of the night, and take the kids all the way through without running them ragged. You're only missing a couple of hours in the morning. You're not going to be able to do everything. You're right. Absolutely not. But you're paying a discounted rate anyway. So I'm paying a discounted rate. I don't have to leave in the middle of the day for my kids to take a nap or whatever. They get to sleep in. We get to have our little time, and it becomes a little bit more of a manageable vacation.
Because And I'll say the reason why they can't do that because they've realized probably that that's already how a lot of people do Disney. Like we are, I don't want to say we're in the 1%, but we're kind of in the 1% of like, definitely not money wise, but like of knowing like, okay, this is, if you want to do Disney right, you're going to have to be there at rope drop. So when you tell someone like, hey, rope drop is at 8, but that means we have to be there by like 7:15, 7:30. And other people are like, what? 7:30? I was just going to, like, wasn't getting, I'm on vacation. I'm not getting out of bed till 9 and then take my time and do. And so if people, because I can guarantee you there's a lot of people, like, when are the parks the most crowded? After that 11, 12-ish time. So that's when most of the people are coming in. And if that's when most of the people are coming in and you tell them, hey, we have a half day ticket that starts at noon, they're like, well, shoot, I wasn't planning on getting there till noon anyway. So now they've lost out on the money and the revenue that they would have had from people doing what they already do. Because again, there's not many of us that get up and rope drop and go and go and go.
I don't know, man. You say there's not many of us, but last time I went, the parks were crowded in the morning. Now they're not right now. Like right now, the parks aren't crowded. That's why Disney's having trouble. But
again, it's not as crowded as it's going to be the rest of the day. It is you have a good group that comes in, and then the park absorbs them, and it's also one of the things that because I don't have like actual hard data of this, but I'm almost positive like whenever they open the park, they're not opening the park at max capacity. They're opening the park at like, okay, we think it's going to be about this. We're probably going to need to have this. And then as more people start to come in, like Soarin', like we were riding Soarin', it was one of the first rides that we did. And how many they have 2 theaters. How many were running? One. Like, it wasn't, hey, let's get these people in, let's go. One here, go, 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 go. It was like, well, no, this is an acceptable amount of wait until we start to reach this. Okay, now we'll open up the other theater. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with Ed again because Ed's been super quiet. Now, Ed, I want a realistic thought of what it would take for, in your mind, for Bob not to be the villain anymore.
Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me get my list of demands for Bob. Look, there are so many things that needs to be done, but in order for him to change my perspective, I do think that he needs to concentrate on the parks. The first thing that somebody needs to concentrate on is bringing back traditions and making them traditions again. Making the parks what they used to be. Going back to the customer service that Disney used to be known for back in the Be Our Guest days. I've had everyone outside of this group that I've known that has gone to Disney World, without exception, has said that they've been to Disney World and it was no longer magical. And that speaks volumes. And that's kind of where this path that he has put Disney on has taken us. And we've said before, I love many of the things that Bob Iger has done. He brought my Star Wars, my Marvel, my Spider-Man, Pixar into my favorite media fold. But beyond that, we've lost a lot of the magic of what Disney was. And it goes back to the customer service. They have completely lost sight of the customer service experience, the customer experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's funny that you say outside of this group because I feel like every time I come back from Disney something, I'm like, that was not magical. Like, that was not, no.
Well, I didn't want to speak for everybody, but yeah.
The pricing is outstripped the pixie dust.
My last trip to Disneyland was very magical. It's probably it's never going to happen again, but it was very magical.
We had a good time, but that's just because we love Disney so much. I mean, I just sat in a queue for 6.5 hours trying to get tickets to Oogie Boogie Bash and did not.
and did not.
I am not happy. I am very sad.
But see, that's the thing, right? When you can sit in a queue for 6.5 hours, why do you, as Bob Iger or as a shareholder, why do you have any incentive to, like, you know, be good? You know what I'm saying? I think that might be part of it too. Is like there was this idea that, like, okay, we need to reduce crowds. Well, let's start raising the price and see what people stop doing. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to raise the price. People still come in. Well, heck, is there anything we can't do?
Yes.
Is there anything
You'll
we
find out.
can't do?
You'll find out.
Yeah, and I mean, we are in late stage capitalism now. I mean, it all goes downhill from here. Period.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what the industry. And Disney, this is what it looks like in Disney parlance, you know? There are lots of rich people out there. There are lots of people who are not in the 1% who still have a lot of money and can afford to pay whatever. There's always going to be somebody who can pay whatever the cost is. There's never not going to be somebody. But how many people are you excluding by going after the whales? And is it worth it in balance when it is completely trashing your legacy and how people view you as a company?
Well, it's one of those things where they don't see what it's actually doing. Like, it's just...
Wait. But Kristen, Cameron, you two have not come up with...
Oh, what he can do?
Would a realistic thing to... Yes.
Realistic thing that he can do. I definitely think it needs to be a focus. I think the most forward-facing part of Disney is the parks. I think that's a lot of what people think about when they hear Disney. Yes, you have the movies, but I think a lot of it is the parks. I honestly think, I sell Fox. Like,
Again.
I think, yeah, like, because... Cool, you bought Fox.
Keep the X-Men parts.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Fantastic Four, and then get rid of the rest.
And then get rid of everything else, because honestly, like, what did you buy Fox for? How did it benefit you? And how are you even using it now with what you have? Like, you haven't really done... I mean, you've brought some stuff over to Disney Plus, some stuff. Right, but it's not like you opened up the entire catalog of Fox and done all this stuff. So it's like you bought this thing and you did it because you could. That's great, but...
Yeah, that's an interesting question because, yeah, like, what are they doing with it? Why did they buy it? Because they're not using it. You're right. They're not using it the way... I mean... I don't feel like they bought it just so they could own the rest of the Marvel stuff again. That's crazy if that's really why they did it.
I mean, it brings them the original Star Wars stuff. It brings them the Avatar. It brings a lot of stuff back to them. It brought back Anastasia.
Are they doing
it brought back
with
the original Disney princess Anastasia. Okay,
no,
let's.
No.
Well,
what are they doing with it?
When I used to do the website, and I would try and put every Disney movie on my website back in the day, when they bought Fox, I went in and I've still got the spreadsheets. I listed all of the 3,000 or so Fox titles, and I looked at this list and went, no. I looked at that list, and maybe 10% of them I went, okay, that's worth having. That's worth having. This is worth listing. I'm not going to waste my time with the rest of this stuff because there's just not that much good stuff there. And don't get me wrong, Fox, I love Fox. Fox has put out a lot of fantastic movies since I was a kid. I love the Fox studios. But they're not using Fox the way that, in order to benefit them in any way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if he's not going to sell
yours is
Fox, he can
Fox.
bring back or release the entire Disney catalog on Disney Plus. Because even that's still not
There's
a thing.
stuff that like we're like, I thought that would be on here, and it's literally not. Like all of us, like the Disney-ana types. That's the stuff that I was like, yeah, I can't wait to see all that old school stuff. And it's like hardly anything.
They promised us everything from the Disney catalog,
Yes.
with the exception of
Song of the South.
So you're going to get everything but that. We're going to put it all on there, and there is so much stuff missing. Where's the Mickey Mouse Club? Where's the Wonderful World of Disney?
Yeah.
There are what 60 some odd canon films, and not even all of those 60 films are on Disney Plus.
Yeah. True.
Polly, you probably can't see that.
No, we can't see that. You know, if you're on
Polly?
a computer, you can share your screen.
I know.
You know what? I will do it for you, Cameron, because
that is
I will say.
I remember
Polly
that.
with the exclamation point on the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my lord!
Polly
I
with
forgot that
Keisha Knight
existed
pulling-
until literally right now.
Exactly. That's Wonderful World of Disney. And you're
Oh my
like,
gosh.
where is it?
That's crazy.
And it was
I
such
forgot
the
that
music
existed.
from that, the dancing. You have Felicia Rashad, and it was. I want to say it was
Right.
produced by like Debbie Allen. Amazing.
Yes.
So this is the movie that we were talking about here. In case you have not seen Polly, this is the.
Yeah, it's Pollyanna but black.
Yes.
Yes, it is Pollyanna but black.
Yeah.
There's some really good songs in there. Love the songs that exist in this movie. Yeah. If
So
you
those are
haven't
my
seen
things.
it,
He can
I
either sell
recommend it.
Fox or like release the full Disney catalog. That's doable.
I mean,
Don't see
That's-
Polly coming home. It's not the same thing.
No. Polly come
Polly
home.
is what
It's
you want to focus on Polly.
yes, Polly.
I have to go with what Ed said because that's the thing that I want the most. He needs to get back to basics on parks, and yeah, absolutely, I co-sign on the whole thing with the customer service. But honestly, let's just say they didn't change anything with customer service, and it's just as trash as it currently is. People would still be like, yeah, we got a W if all they did was get rid of Genie Plus and make Fast Pass Plus paid and the way that it used to be and run it like Max Pass. I think that
Yes.
would do a ton. Just get rid of this because it's trash and everybody hates it and it's ridiculously impossible to figure out. Like, I used to be a Disney travel agent. I have to literally like look and figure out like now which ones of these are on this and you can't use them the way that you used to be able to do Fast Pass Plus. I mean, unless you rope drop, you're not getting stuff on Genie Plus. You're not, because I tried to do a half day start in an afternoon because we don't rope drop anymore. Embarrassing to say. I'm tired.
Hey, I'm tired too. No, I get it. Yeah, no, totally get it.
We couldn't do
Makes
anything.
sense.
There was nothing available.
And that my only other thing, and this is they're not going to do this, and I do not understand why. But my only other thing that he could do to not be a Disney villain anymore would be to open a fifth gate. Like, we need a new park. We've needed a new park for a long period of time. Before we even started all this talk about raising prices to reduce lines or whatever, we needed a new park. If Eisner were here, we would have had a new park.
Oh yeah, there definitely would have been.
We'd have had 3 new parks by now. We
Same
definitely
with
need a new
Stags.
True.
Hashtag
park.
bring
Stags
back
would've given us a
Stags.
new park.
Yeah,
Stags
this
would've
whole
given us a
like
new park.
beyond New Fantasyland, that's BS. Where's Villains Park?
No. Yes.
We need
just
the
give us a
Villains
new
Park. There's
Stop with
plenty
the
to fill up a
expansions.
new park with that, and we know they have the space.
Yeah. Oh, they have plenty of space.
They have plenty of space. They've got
Or,
30 years of being unmolested by Ron DeSanctimonious or whatever you want to call him.
You know
and
what?
his
Look,
motley crew of
They-
dopey folk who don't know how to run a special district or whatever.
look, they don't even have to stay in Florida. Like, they can move to Texas. They can move to North Carolina. They can move to some of these. There was talk of Missouri at one point, I think. Like,
Well,
Dear God, no one wants to be in Missouri in the middle of the summer.
well,
From someone who grew up there.
apparently people want to be in Texas in the middle of the summer because Universal decided to go the regional route, and they're like, "Hey, let's build like a smaller kids park, like literally like down the road from me."
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me. Okay, so Texas in the summer is like living on the surface of the sun, but it's not humid.
Not till you get down to Houston. Once you get down to
Let me-
Houston,
It's like all bets are off, right?
exactly.
Missouri is like Florida, but worse. Because it doesn't rain every day to kind of move that out. Missouri,
Just
honestly,
stays.
is like the worst possible day in Atlanta, Georgia, where you are so hot because of the humidity that you sweat so much that you look dry.
I would like to say on behalf of the Disney Movie Review that these views are not reflective of the Disney Movie Review, its associates, subsidiaries, the great state of Missouri.
There is so much heat. You were just
Okay.
sweating standing
All right.
still.
We've reached our
Well,
hour
there goes
time
our
frame.
sponsorship from the Missouri Travel Bureau.
I guess this town of Marceline is not going to be sponsoring this podcast.
Look, it's the show me state, and they're going to show you how sweaty you can get.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm gonna end it there. I don't have any music or anything because we're still figuring this out, but we're gonna be back more often because I think this was fun. I had a good time. Did y'all have a good time?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
I can't really say that I missed you guys because again we've still been doing this behind the scenes, just in a small group chat. But yeah,
All right. Well, I am going to stop the recording and leave it there. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time. Bye.
see you later, guys.
See ya.